Another episode of the Needed Podcast. Welcome back to the channel. We've been really consistent actually for the last maybe few weeks. You know, I really try to be ahead, try to provide you guys the best shit. If you guys are new, man, this is going to be a very inspiring episode. Stay tuned to the end. Find some value in it. I've been saying that as of late because I know a lot of people aren't willing to stick through like a 30-minute plus video. But I promise you guys are going to learn a lot of things on this one. Got a very special guest. Really excited to just be collaborating with like people on that mentality that I'm on and just people that I'm also learning from, man. If you guys are not around those kind of people, man, you guys got to start really looking at who you're around. So if you guys are new to the channel, also make sure that you guys subscribe, like, and comment on this video. Share the video. My guest today is coming from the LA area as well, Mr. Ambitious. The name really just says it all. Welcome, bro.
Thank you, bro. Thanks for having me. This is a true blessing and honor to be able to, even have the conversation. So I'm really excited to, try and just provide some value. And, it's dope to be here. We came out from just outside of LA, Chino Hills specifically.
Okay.
So,
the IE?
Yeah, a little bit of the IE. So it's, Saturday morning.
Yeah, Saturday morning, man. What are you doing today? A lot of people are chilling right now, right? On this specific day, a lot of people are kicking their feet up. And my whole thing is just like, yo, I'm working this weekend, So, yeah. I mean, I think once you start trading up that time for something that's going to push you forward, that's really where you start seeing like a big change,
100%. I think, the nice thing about what it is that we do is that we never feel like we're working.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like when you really love what you do, I truly believe that you're really not ever working. So it's like, whether it's growing the actual cash flow business, whether it's PR, marketing, speaking, mentoring, like it really never feels like work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
This is fun, especially for me, just being able to collaborate, like I said, with somebody who's on that level and doing great things. I mean, those are the people I want to be around. So let's say for somebody that doesn't follow you or anything like that, just explain who you are, what you're about, what you do. And then also, of course, I'm going to tag all your handles here, like social media. I know do you have a YouTube or no? Or
yeah, we're getting the YouTube going.
Okay, you're getting the YouTube going. I know you were telling me you're just now really starting to kind of try to grow the platform.
Yeah.
But it's all starting with you. Yeah. So just explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, first generation Cuban Mexican American, mom from Cuba, dad was from Mexico City. I come from a background of, entrepreneurship. I think that every Latino, has the work ethic. It's just really finding that inner ambition, right? Understanding really what it is that we want to do from the inside out. We were just having the conversation here right before we went live, and it's like you got to know and understand what you truly want and what God really has in store for us. So right. I'm a faith-based, soul-centered entrepreneur at heart. I've gone from the fitness industry, built my personal brand, which we'll get into in a little bit, Ambitious Fits. I have a financial services company where we help with money management, insurance, protection, really just all types of real estate investments, stuff like that. And really right now the focus is personal brand. I believe that any entrepreneur, one of the biggest things that they have to focus on is understanding themselves, growing their own individual platform. Because my belief is that, small business is where it's at right now.
Yeah.
Small business is where it's at. When you start looking at the four power structures of just world in general, like in history, back in the day, like who the power structure was like church, right? So it was like religion, right? What were the biggest buildings back then? They were churches,
yeah.
Right? Then you look at government, right? Right now we're in government. Back in the day, government buildings were like the biggest ones, right? Same thing with science and labs. And right now, the space that we're entering is business. What are the biggest buildings in the world right now?
Yep.
They're businesses,
exactly.
Right? They're corporate, they're multifamily apartment buildings, right? So small business is so big, and where do businesses start with?
Yourself.
The visionary,
exactly.
Right? The CEOs, the creators, the pioneers, right? So I think that becoming a soul-centered entrepreneur is really where my focus is right now, and helping other soul-centered entrepreneurs become the best version of themselves from the inside out.
Nice.
So,
yeah, I like that. I mean, I think everything comes from within for sure. And, before people want to do all these different things, you know, at the end you got to check yourself. You got to really look in the mirror and say, okay, like how serious am I about this? Because I've always seen time and time again so many people all of a sudden not be worthy of their wishes, you know? So it's like you want all these things, but yet when it's time to get shit done, they just almost back out, you know? So you got to really be serious in this, and it's always going to get harder. Like I really want to, you know, emphasize that, because I think people misunderstand that a lot. They just think like with time, once you reach a little bit of success, it just supposedly is going to get a little easier, but it takes a long time to build something. And just like I told you before when we were having this conversation, you know, we just did the Active Faith drop, and like me being on design and development, just like how patient are you willing to be for 6-7 months until you see the results? Like the climb up there wasn't easy, but you know, we don't fold, man. And I think you know, I think people are gonna question like how do you become better from within. So like, what are just some things you recommend on people building up their mentality like to that level?
You know, I think that's a great question. I used to be very, very goal driven, you know, and don't get me wrong, like don't throw the baby out with the bathwater here. Is yeah, it's great to have goals, but I've kind of switched my mentality from being goal oriented to being more process driven.
Okay.
Right. I strongly believe that when you fall in love with the process, we hear it all the time, right? Trust the process.
Right. But what's actually within that saying, you know?
Yeah. It's
people
like,
don't get it.
And fall in love with it. Like fall in love with even failing.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like patience. That's something I'm learning right now as we speak, is having more patience. I want it so bad, right? Mr. Ambitious wants it so bad. But at the same time, I have to understand that I'm going to learn so many things that I never even thought about throughout this journey of becoming who I want to become, and really truly like understanding that I'm going to fail. My failures are going to be my biggest teachers, right? And as long as I don't give up and just throw in the towel, then I'm going to continue to keep learning. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Exactly. You got to roll with the punches, man. I think, you know, we feel like Rocky, like the guy in the Rocky movie. Remember when it was like the 12th round and he was all bruised up? Yep. That's us right now. Yep. But you got to do it, man. Eventually you see how that ended. He ended up winning. But there's just a funny story, because I think that's really what entrepreneurship is about. Like there's a lot more, you know, there's great things that will happen in your journey, but you do deal with a lot in that process. And we have to normalize that. And we have to realize that that's actually part of it. And it's making you stronger. You know, time and time again, I always say that everything you want to do is going to require more of you, you know, and you got, like I told my little brother, you know, like he wants to do so many things, but he has to switch up what he's currently doing, because that no longer transitions into what he wants to actually do, you know. So you got to really, like I said, you said diversify pretty much, you know, you got to start figuring out how to reach that next level. And I think with small business, that's the hardest part, like scaling to that next level. Like, how do you get there? I know you started off with your fitness brand, so let's just kind of backtrack a little bit, like just go back into like how you got started. I know that's, you know, the training is kind of what got your foot in the door, and maybe that's probably really the grind. I think I related a lot to me cutting, like that's what taught you how to be one-on-one with customers. Your speaking skills probably developed there. Just, I mean, what are some things you learned there, and how did you get started in that?
I just like anybody else, right? I started at a corporate, you know, gym, you know, regular box gym, and I knew that from within, just knowing like my background, that entrepreneurship's in my blood, and it's really hard for an entrepreneur to naturally be in that corporate setting. So, you know, it just didn't work out. Obviously, I think that everyone has to go through the corporate ladder, because you learn a lot in the beginning of a career, right? So, you know, I jumped around from corporate to corporate until, you know, I had that aha moment where I was actually fired from the last corporate gym. And that really is what kind of like threw me out of my nest, to really be like, you know what, like I'm not cut out for the corporate world. I need to start something on my own. And much like kind of like a barber, you could rent a chair. So I rented my space at this gym that had just opened up down the street from my house. It was like God aligned it like perfectly. And I started training people on my own, started kind of like posting a little bit on social media. One thing led to another. You know, 5 years into it, I had grown a team. You know, my buddy Adrian, shout out to my boy Adrian, like we really went off and we started, you know, training people, training other trainers on how to build their business. We were running classes and stuff like that. And then we started to get a little bit better of understanding of, okay, we could start really multiplying this brand, right? We could start dropping some apparel because we had a nice audience, right? So you get into the product stuff and then you start learning about that.
Yeah, that's a whole other animal.
Yeah, that's a whole nother animal. But
we're talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the process earlier, right? Even the process of like going from corporate to independent contractor, like that's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the mindset of, you're your own boss, but now
what do you do from here?
Yeah, what do I do from here? Like then you got finances, like you got Uncle Sam, right?
Yeah.
Like there's so many things that go into that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was really what
I think a lot of people, they, you know, I want to say they're comfortable in the sense of just having that direction that the corporate world gives you. Like, you know, you got to go in at 9, you know, you're done at 6, and then you just go home and you do it again. Like they like that there's some kind of direction there. In entrepreneurship, there isn't any. Like you only get what you put in that day. Yeah. And it's just like, what does your perfect day look like you were telling my brother too. Yeah. So you just learn so much throughout. But, you know, like you said, as long as you fall in love with that process, I think that a lot of things start to make sense. I think as long as you're aligned with your purpose, which, you know, like I really like what you say that you're very faith driven. So yeah, is that something you've always carried throughout, like just how you grew up in your household?
Yeah, you know what, it just like anything, it's a process, right? You know, I recently, I would say maybe about 1.5 years ago, came the Christian route. So I'm 100% Christian now, but I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
As a Latino, I mean, a lot of us kind of grew up Catholic.
You know,
right?
that's what we grew up in.
Yeah,
we
grew up Catholic, and I believe in faith in general. Like, if I don't care like what your faith is, I'm no one to judge, right? For me personally, I've built more of a relationship with the Lord and with God that the minute I surrender to Him, like I just feel everything's just blasted off in terms of not just business, bro. You know, I'm talking in terms of like family. And of course, there's always ways that you could get better, right? But in terms of family, my fitness, just my mindset, everything, you know what I mean? And I believe that, you know, you put God at the center of anything that you do, and you're going to come out winning. You know, I do want to share one thing, like, that I've really kind of like embraced is whenever you're in a tough spot, you know, it doesn't matter what it is in your business, in your relationship, whatever. A lot of people just pray to God to come and save them.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, invite God into the situation. Imagine being in a dark hole, right? And you're like praying up, like, God, get me out, get me out. No. Instead, God, come into this situation, come into this dark hole with me. Because when God is on your team, you understanding that God never loses, God is perfect, you'll make it out of that hole together as a team.
Yeah.
So I always say my best business partner in anything
is God. That's beautiful, man. You know, that it's funny you say that, right? Because like, if God is with you in your entire journey, then you don't have to really worry to be calling Him in to save you every time you're in this like hiccup, you know?
If God is for me, who could be against me?
Exactly, man. So that's dope, man. I think a lot of people, you know, I haven't had anybody really touch on the topic, but I'm a big, you know, advocate for that too. Just, you know, God first, and just like actually having that, you know, coming from a Catholic background, and just always understanding that just has to be part of you. My wife and I, we don't talk about it as much. And, you know, sometimes people, you know, it's a sensitive topic in general, religion, you know? So, you know, hopefully people that are listening that do live their life in that way, you know, show some love and let us know what you guys think about that. But that's really dope. Moving forward, let's get a little bit into actually you transitioning from something that was working, and it still is, you know, with the fitness, and then jumping into what you do now, because, you know, I'm sure a lot of people are interested, especially when it comes to finances. I haven't really done anything here on the podcast, but people have asked for it, you know, advice on that. So let's just get a little bit into that, and then we'll see what we could do to help these people.
Yeah, I mean, it's another sensitive topic, right?
Yeah,
so
money.
it's money. It's an uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's proven that people don't like to talk about their finances. You know what I mean? But it's getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? My buddy Edgar says that all the time, is you got to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So, you know, as I was going through my journey of personal training, I had a client that, you know, recruited me into this, like, sold me the dream type thing, right? And nothing against it. It just wasn't my business style. You know, I knew that financial services was definitely something that caught my attention, just because, you know, for me, like I lost my dad at 14 years old, and even though he was a well-known entrepreneur, business owner, stuff like that, like, again, Latino, you got to understand your background is like, as a Latino, work ethic isn't the problem, but it's having the financial literacy to be able to now carry that wealth going forward. So we like my family and I went through that when he passed away. Like he was not set up at all. Like no will, no trust, no estate plan, no legacy plan, nothing. And everything went to shit. I don't know if I could cuss on here.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Say whatever you want.
All right. So I don't know if but
we're just getting started.
Yeah, no, like everything went to like complete shit. And that was just like a complete paradigm shift, right? And so like, go ahead. Yeah, so like that caught my attention. So then I was like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, as I'm a business owner, like I was really starting to open up my eyes to the world. And I was like, man, I want to learn about how money works. How could I invest? Like I'm making all this money as a personal trainer, but I'm also spending a shit ton of money. I'm paying a ton of money in taxes. Like
you're working to live, literally.
Yeah, like what the hell? Like there has to be another way. There's no way that I could hear about all these billionaires and millionaires not paying nothing in tax. Like I need to learn how to do this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's really what sparked my interest.
That's dope, man. You know, you say that a lot, like before we get into the actual stuff on the finance side, you know, just that family, that situation there for you obviously was hard at 14. I mean, shoot, that's a crucial age. You know, you're a young teen. Do you have siblings?
I do. I have my dad had seven kids.
Wow,
and then my
family.
My mom had 3. I'm the only one from my mom and my dad, and I'm the youngest on both sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they had their own families, and you guys were the one. Okay, that's cool.
I was the
one.
Were
you the first one? You're the oldest?
I'm the baby on both sides.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I'm the last one.
That's crazy, huh?
Yeah.
As the baby. So so just explaining a little bit about that situation. Like how was that the aftermath, you know? Like the aftermath of like how bad was it to where like, you know, you guys, was it like you lost a house or like financial, like a little in a nutshell?
Yeah, in a nutshell, I mean, my dad was someone that came from Mexico City, was about to become a lawyer, and then obviously the family decided to come over to the States, and he needed to find some way to make money. So he started flipping tacos. 25, 35 years into his career, he passes away. And right before he passed away, it was almost 100 restaurants.
Wow.
Multiple businesses, just no proper plan.
That's a trip, right?
I mean, you could only imagine like an entire empire like lost their leader. Yeah. And no plan in place.
And no kind of wealth actually built through that time, right?
Well, riches acquired, but no generational wealth set up.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
It died with him.
Yeah, because I mean, of course, like the money had to be there, but in terms of it being like good for a long period of time for the next generation, that's kind of what you're trying to talk about. So let's jump into that. And I think that's something that people really have to understand in the day and age, because, you know, you can have money, but that's not really everything, you know. It's just a matter of like what you're really doing with that and if it's working for you.
Yeah.
Not you actually just like spending it. So let's get into that a little bit about what you do now and what you could offer.
I mean, everything from asset protection, retirement planning, financial services, real estate investments, commercial, residential, lending, money. I have people on our team that we do money management. I mean, really, it's understanding people's goals, right? We were talking to Offset a little bit about, you know, personal goals, right? And when it comes to financial goals, the first question I ask people is like, what's your goal? What's your money goal, right? Like, what's your FIN? Mm-hmm. And your FIN is your financial independence number. Right. So it's like everyone wants, I want to be, what's the word? I want to be financially free. Right. But it's okay. Well, you got to identify that first. Right. Yeah. Imagine being on a plane. Right. We're traveling all the time and you get up in the air and they're like the pilot, you're super excited. You're going to, you're going to be on a tropical island somewhere. But what if you were to get up in the air and the pilot's like, I don't know where we're going. How would you feel? And that's really like when you start thinking about it, like that's really how people live their lives with their finances. They say they want to be independent, like financially independent. They have absolutely no plan.
Yeah.
Right. And there's so many things that go into that.
Like
taxes, family, how much do you want to make on a monthly basis? Do you want it taxable, non-taxable, right? What age do you want to stop working? Like these are all questions that we're asking. So it's really just gathering that data and understanding what their goals are so that I can now mentor them down the right path.
Right. And that's, so what is this this company called? Is this something you started yourself?
No, so I am a franchisee. I'm a franchise owner with the Financial Architects.
Okay.
My really good business partner and friend, my brother, Manny Soto is the CEO of the company.
Okay.
And what we do is we franchise the company. So we have systems, operations, everything intact. I mean, he's been in the business for like 20 years. It's a private company, but we're backed by multi-billion-dollar companies, insurance companies, financial institutions, real estate companies, etc. Right? So it's we have about a little under 200 agents in the agency, and we franchise.
Nice. So that's pretty much what you guys offer there. So let's say somebody comes in and they want help. What are actually, in what direction? Is it just based on what they actually want to accomplish? Let's say somebody wants a little bit of everything. Like, what's the process of that? Somebody just coming in, reaching out to you guys and say, yo, like, I want to, get to this goal.
Yeah.
Like, what do you walk them through?
Yeah, great question. I mean, the funny thing is that everyone thinks you have to get to a certain money goal or a certain amount to be able to work with us. That's absolutely not true. I don't care if you make $50,000 a year, if you make 500 million.
Because it's sensitive too. Like some people might not want to go if they are in debt or they are, but you could obviously help them get past that as long as they're willing to like be helped, right?
Yeah, even strategies. It's really like I brand myself as Pablo the Financial Architect, right? Like that's my YouTube. That's the way I kind of brand myself is we are putting a blueprint together of people's finances. So it goes back to like, what's your goal? Like I start asking like, do you have a family? Do you have a business? I work with a lot of business owners as well, whether they be independent contractors and setting up ways that they could save, right? Different ways and strategies that they could save and really start to build a portfolio for themselves. Asset protection, maybe they own businesses. I know, if you have employees, like we set up pension plans and retirement plans and, employee benefits for business owners. Or maybe it's for the ultra wealthy where they're making, millions and millions on a yearly basis, and they need to find ways to diversify their portfolios and minimize, tax exposure and, things like that. So
yeah, I think a lot of people just aren't really, especially in a small business, they're not really aware of like how much you can save or how you can have the money work for you.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Surprisingly, you actually have to sometimes even spend more on some areas just to be able to cover in terms of taxes. So
yeah,
that's really cool. It's a Saturday morning. We just hit them with like a little over 20 minutes of a lot of stuff. It's a lot of information, but we got a couple of people here in the background. Got my son in the back, but there's no excuse, bro. Like really what I'm trying to get to is that you can't really like rationalize or negotiate with yourself with like anything you want to do. You just got to make it happen. So, thank you again for being here.
Nah, bro, 100%.
I'm sure the people so far are enjoying like just the first 20 minutes of this because there's so much information and a lot of valuable topics, not just like mindset, but also what a lot of people actually want to get to, which is, I guess you can say it's the result. It is the money, but like, what's your take on that? Just people being result driven or also just like, maybe you think people going with the different idea when they go to you guys in the financial side, and then it changes quickly when you start like educating them.
It changes all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I see it consistently, especially like with people, because I also mentor a lot of, financial strategists as well.
Okay.
Right. So it's like the first thing, like when someone comes to me from the approach of like wanting to get into the business, the first thing I said, like, why? I always start with purpose.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this? If you're doing it for the money, it's gonna run.
Yeah.
And that's with anything.
Yeah.
Any business that I've ever got into, I chase the money. Yeah, I might reach my money goal. It's gonna run from you.
Yeah. Have you ever? It's crazy how you feel that, right? When you're so like, I want to say tapped in with like your inner self. You feel it literally happening. Like I think when I moved out here, bro, I kid you not, I was result driven, and I had a little bit of an ego because I come from a place that I was right here. I was established to the top, and then I come here and then. Result driven and with that ego, and this shit didn't work out.
Yeah.
And as soon as I switched back to just good intentions, out of love, enjoying the process, not being result driven, it just everything changed automatically. So it's a trip, but it's really a true thing, man. Yeah. So the biggest thing is the why, and then you jump into what
I get into. Okay, well, like what's kind of called you to get into this? Are you coming from a place of like you have to do it? You know what I mean? Which again, everyone starts there. Everyone comes from a place of like survival. Like naturally as humans, we are created to survive, right? You put us underwater, what do we want to do? We want to come up for air.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to come from a place of survival, but then understanding that the next step in that is service, right? So you want to serve people. You're coming from a good place. I could tell you have a great heart. I was just having the conversation with your brother, right? Is that you're coming, I know you're a personal trainer, right? So like, I know you mean good, right? But now let's dig deeper. Let's really understand like your true purpose, right? Because financial services is just one of the things. I hate to put like titles because it limits you. Right. So it's like, we're all humans, understanding that, you know, God has placed us here with a gift, and I believe that our true job is to really understand what God has blessed us with the opportunity. Like, what's our gift? Right. So
we all have it. We all
have a gift. It's just our job is to find out what that gift is. And the way that I tell my people, you know, anyone that I talk to, is to identify your gift. Like, if it comes easy to you and you feel like you're not working and you're still able to monetize off of it, and on top of that, most importantly, you're impacting people, that's your gift.
Yeah.
If it comes easy to you.
And I think that's what I needed podcast is. I was telling you about that. Like, you know, I had to really figure out what, first of all, that I enjoy doing, something that was coming easy to me, and that I was, you know, helping people, impacting people. Like, you'd be surprised, this podcast might, you know, maybe we don't always hear it, but you don't really know what it did for that person. They might get up and go start their business. Or they might get up and quit their job and just like go the entrepreneur route just because they heard us today. So that's really the beauty in it. And, you know, I just love doing it. I just love being able to serve people in that sense, you know? So that's just like a testament for what you just literally said, you know? And I was telling you about that. And jumping into like the mentorship side, because it still ties into you like helping people. Explain a little bit about that, because that's actually what I want to jump into. An extension of the Need It brand would be the academy, which is basically where I take people under me for a period of time when we help build them up. But there's just so much content that goes into that's why it's taking so long, because like, you know, I like to do shit right. So like, I know like, okay, I can't just come up with some basic plan. You know, I want a subscription plan. I want somebody, there's tiers, you know, I want a subscription plan. I want somebody that, I also want a group session where I take 4 or 5 of them at a time for a lower rate. And then I have the one-on-ones, which are obviously the more expensive ones. But, you know, there's, like I said, a lot of content that goes within that. But just explain a little bit about the mentorship side of things, because I'm interested to hear like how that is. And also we spoke about how important having a mentor is. So I think people sometimes just want to know why they should join or why they should have a mentor.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, I'm just a product of thousands of meetings, thousands of mentors. I believe that, think about having like 2 cups, right? And if your glass is already full, you can't pour no more water into that cup. So us, you know, how many times do we have to empty out our cup? So we have to pour into others in order to be now filled up again. So it's honestly, it's just, I don't know if mentorship is really the right word, but it's really just sharing, sharing what I've learned. I've been very, very fortunate and blessed to be around a lot of amazing people, females, males, from my mom to, you know, business partners to, you know, my upbringing, coaches, past athlete myself. So, you know, I got to give credit to a lot of them, you know what I mean? Because they've really poured into me.
Yeah.
And really what I do is I just share. I mean, I've spent thousands of dollars on personal development. I mean, you think about professional athletes, right? We were talking about earlier as well. It's like, why do professional athletes have coaches?
And trainers.
I mean, I think
and mentors too.
Something came out where like LeBron spends thousands or millions of dollars into his body. Like, yeah, I might say, well, he makes $1 million. Well, it's because he invests into himself.
Yeah, that's why he's like 38 now and
still balling. You know,
like, how are you still running with these 18, 20-year-olds? You know,
putting him to shame.
Yeah, literally, dude.
Yeah.
And when he wants to, like, it's not even on any given night, you know, even if you guys are sports people or not, like, he does not really trying every single night like that. And he's still putting up 18. That's what he's averaging, you know, or more or whatever.
But it's because he's investing into his nutrition, his mental state, right? His businesses, himself. Like, you have the greatest investment you could potentially make, and this is for anybody that wants to get into entrepreneurship, you want to get into business, start with yourself.
Yeah.
Hire a personal development coach. Hire somebody that you align with core values, number one. They have to align with your core values and beliefs. And just, if they have a mentorship program, like invest it, because I guarantee you it's going to come back tenfold.
Yes.
You know, it's going to come back tenfold.
Right. And that's like, like I said, my whole thing is just serve people, help them out. And that's why I'm creating the Need It Academy, because I want to eventually have something like, you never know, down the line, I might be able to collaborate with you and say, hey, Mr. Ambitious is part of the Need It Academy too, at a certain level that you guys reach. Then we jump into him. And then, that's the cool part about it, that I've met so many people that I've networked with, that I know somebody that can help them with their marketing and their ads if they have a small business. I know somebody that can help them on the financial side. I know somebody that can help them with, creating the wealth and all that stuff. So that's the dope part about it, that eventually it'll be multiple people, but at a given time. So that's the cool part. And that's eventually what I want to get to. And the beauty in it is seeing these people get to that point. And like that, I think if you're fulfilled with seeing somebody else's success and you know that you were part of that, that's how you know that you're really like living your purpose,
I love that.
Yeah. So that's why I'm excited to just like see. And I've done it in a small scale where like I've seen people just grow their small little page or just start their brand, and it's just cool because they're learning the ropes, and you see their they come across their first struggles, and I'm just laughing because I'm like, bro, I remember that feeling of that exact point that you're at right now. And that's what I also do even in my barbershop. Like these guys come in and I didn't have the mentors, I didn't have the good environment to be around. I had to really just create all that. But now like my shop itself is a place for people to come in and grow in that field, and then also bringing in extra knowledge of the things and the people that I've met. So that's kind of what adds value to just being part of the shop and being part of a bigger vision.
Yeah, period. And if I could add a little bit onto that, like I think one of the first things, like when you see, because I'm trying to put myself in those shoes again, right? Like when I first hired my first mentor, it's like, oh my gosh, why is he asking for so much just to talk to me?
Yeah.
Right? You have to be in the right mindset, number one, and understand that you can't put a price on it. Like I strongly believe that a lot of mentors are really underpriced.
Yeah.
Like you're paying for their experience, their time, opportunity costs.
The game, man.
The game, like you're getting the juice.
Yes.
They're not going to sugarcoat it. You know what I mean? So if you guys are thinking about getting mentorship, like really fully like dive in.
Yeah.
And don't let that negative talk come in. You know what I mean? Like, cause
that little voice in
your head, he or she's going to tell you like, why are you doing this? You're wasting your money. You might have family telling you the same thing. Like, oh, you're just wasting your money. Like, no, like if you truly feel it inside, hire that mentor, go all in, forget about what people are saying and just dive into it, because I guarantee you that first they're going to laugh at you, right? They're going to laugh at you in the beginning, but then 5, 6, 7 years down the line, like they're going to start asking you questions about how you did it.
They're going to start asking questions. They're going to start saying, they're going to start giving you your props.
Yeah.
And what's a trip, actually, just going back to the Active Faith drop, I really felt the love, and even people that don't even tell me, bro, we're just like, hey, bro, congrats, keep going. Like, for them to reach out, that just goes to show you that, like, okay, we're making some noise here, and I think what's important too is that if you're conscious, again, if you're that voice in your head, the good voice that is telling you, like, bro, that's like your gut feeling, literally, is telling you, like, yo, go hire that mentor. I mean, obviously people are interested in reaching out for a reason. Yeah. So it's just like being fully invested in that thought. And not putting a price on it too, because the value that they're getting is literally going to be like triple of that, or more. You can't really even put a price on that because it's just like so many great things come out of it. So that's the cool part. It ties into everything I'm doing and what you currently do. So what are some other stuff in the future that you're working on, or what is the plan for you?
I mean, honestly, I'm on this journey right now of becoming more soul-centered as an entrepreneur, really discovering my inner purpose. I mean, a lot of people think like I have. Yeah.
After hearing all this, I think they think you got it figured out.
No, absolutely not. Like I'm about as sharp as a round table. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm still on this journey. I'm falling in love with the process. So right now I'm going through this and I'm super excited about it. I'm going through this embodiment rebirth as an entrepreneur, right? So it's understanding my past traumas. So like really healing from inside, because, what I've learned early on in this, again, another mentorship course that I'm going through, is we go through the first 21 years of your life, you go through a development stage, right? And you go through these 7-year cycles, right? The first 7 years you're growing physically, right? And then the second 7 years from 14, I'm sorry, from
7 to 14.
Yeah, 7 to 14, you're growing emotionally, right? And then you grow mentally, right? So you're gonna have these past traumas in your life that, for example, like for me, I lost my dad at 14, so I was in that transitional point.
Literally.
And even though, I thought I healed, I don't think I did, right? So what I believe is that once you reach adulthood, whether it be 25, 27, whatever, you're going to reach this door. But I want to go back to the beginning is imagine starting your life when you're born with a bag of golden coins. And every time a life-changing event happens in your life, you lose some coins. So me losing my dad, I lost maybe 3-4 coins.
Right.
And then you go through a breakup, or maybe you broke your arm or had a bad car accident. Something happened to you and you lose golden coins throughout your journey as you know, the first stage of your life, right? Well, when you reach this door in adulthood, maybe you're trying to start a business, you want to get married, you want to have kids, start a family, whatever it is, right? You're going to keep running into that door. And you're not going to be able to open it because you don't have enough golden coins. So what I'm doing, this journey that I'm going on right now, is I'm going back to those past traumas in my life. I'm revisiting them and really healing from within, gathering those golden coins again so that I could get through my door and break through to reach my highest potential.
Nice. So
that's the journey
analogy.
I'm in.
Yeah. I love that analogy of just even the 7-year thing. That makes a lot of sense. I was just thinking about doing 21s with the girl. I was like 21s, like damn it. But you know, that makes a lot of sense, you know. And I think people have to revisit those times because in that way you hear it a lot, like people just wanting to reach a certain point, but yet they're still stuck here because they haven't revisited that point in their life and healed from it from within. Just digging deeper, period, bro. I think like mind, body, and soul is so important. You know what I mean? And I think that you know, it is something that I've learned, I think maybe in the last 2 years, just really, I mean, even throughout the pandemic, just having more time for yourself, you know, and having those talks with you, and then being able to understand, like, you know, why things are the way they are. I think it's just so important, and I think people just have to dig a little deeper and find ways to be able to tap into that. What are some things you do to be able to start something like that?
Yeah, I mean, just like anything in life, right? I think we were just talking about is mentorship is huge, right? So having a guide is definitely big that's been through that journey, right? My mom, best advice I've ever gotten has came from my mom. Shout out to my mom on this one. Don't ever take advice from people that haven't already done it.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to our parents, period, because I think those are like our first actual mentors.
100%. And that's the best advice I've ever gotten. So, you know, I have a couple guides. I'm in this program, right? And they're guiding me through ways and some of the exercises. For example, like question is, okay, well, how do I heal? How do I go pick up those golden coins?
Right.
Well, I've learned that to go back and journal, rewrite the narrative, right? So that's gonna weigh. It's like, this is what happened, but I wish this is what would have happened.
Right.
So I rewrite that narrative in my journal. So things like that.
It's just crazy how much that pen to paper actually.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like I've never.
It's very underrated.
Very underrated. Right. We're all used to our phones, but put that pen to paper. Look at the power of that. Yeah. Another thing is I'm dabbling into breath work and meditations.
Right.
Even to the music that I listen to in the mornings. Right. My daily routines, you know, stuff like that I'm very early on in this journey, you know what I mean? But I love the process. Yeah. Again, we go back to I'm more process driven. Like what I'm going to become, God already wrote that.
Yeah.
Our job is to understand, like fill in the blanks.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's dope, man. That's dope. It's just the pieces to the puzzle. And I think, like you said, you know, changing it from result driven to process driven is just such a big change. And, you know, it's just like not having that angle, like, as you know, you kind of have to remove that image actually, because it changes so much in the process. That's the problem. That's the thing that people don't understand. Like you want to get here, but everything in between is not the way you pictured it in your head, bro.
And it's not going to happen that way either.
So that's why when you get to that point that you thought you were supposed to be at and it goes the opposite way, you just run back because it wasn't in the ideal picture you had in your head. So that's why, you have to just realize that so much happens in between, and you have to just develop to be a better you. And I think that just builds you really up, builds up some real like thick skin to be able to just get through like any kind of like I want to say roadblocks, really, you know. So
Read.
Yeah, read. So let's see some things that you recommend in terms of mentorship programs, books.
Definitely.
How can they get started in terms of meditating? Maybe some what you listen to in terms of music or just like podcast period. I mean, it's dope because people actually listen to this when they're trying to get into that mode. So that's the dope part, man. So shout out to you guys for being a needed fan, really.
Definitely. Yeah, shout out to all you guys. Yeah, I'm big on podcasting. I'm big on audiobooks. You know, personally, the way I learned is audio, right? So I'll do like audiobooks, podcasts. I know some people are more visual. So, you know, for example, like read a book, right? Or read a course or something like that.
There's ebooks
articles.
too, guys.
E-books,
so you guys got to do ebooks. I just picked up an ebook and I'm like 100 and something pages in.
Nice.
And I just highlight what hits me, you know? And even if you only read like 5 or 10 pages, like that's actually all you really need in your morning process just to get it going. It's something that strikes you from within. And then you just hit your workout or whatever you have to do.
Yeah, like if you guys follow me on social media, like you'll see almost every single morning I'll post like my leadership development page.
There you go.
And it's like one thing that just, again,
reminds you.
It reminds me, right? Like these are ways that I can now impact my leaders, you know, people that I'm kind of, you know, helping mentor and stuff like that.
And that's the thing. It's like a day-to-day thing. It's not like, you know, you every single day you got to seize the day and you got to, you know, make sure that you're in line with where you're going, you know, and a lot of it has to do with what you put into your mind. So, you know, those are some books. What else in terms of, let's say programs or stuff like that?
I think, again, it's your daily habits. You like come up with a schedule. You know, if you're not schedule driven, that's fine, but come up with some type of a routine that you're going to be able to operate on. There's no perfect way. Like I hate to say like there's no cookie cutter. Everyone's different. You know what I mean? So find what's going to work for you. And the way that you're going to find that is by trying different things. Right? So maybe you're a reader, maybe you're a podcaster. I don't know. Maybe it's having conversations with individuals that, you know, inspire you, right? Seeking wisdom is really what you want to do. And that's where really, you know, that's where God's going to really, you know, shine light on.
Nice.
Just when you're seeking that wisdom.
That's what I tell my team too back home, that, you know, I'm only a phone call away, you know, like you guys are all part of my team. You know, I'll take my shirt off my back for you guys as long as you guys are part of like, the brand, but also on top of that, you guys got to apply yourselves. Because I don't really sugarcoat it to the point where everything's just there handed. Like it's just that easy. Like I let them know like, yo, you know, we got to meet halfway, you know? It's almost like meeting them or they meet me, you know? So you're going to call, I'm going to engage with you.
It's like a relationship, right?
Yeah, literally.
Like,
that's it.
You got to be 100 and 100 both sides. If not, it's just not going to work.
And you feel it when it's not, you know? So let's get a little bit into just, I know you say you're working on yourself and stuff like that. I do see you posting a lot of those reels where you're speaking and stuff. I think we're at a very similar point too. I think, you know, for so long, bro, I was just building myself up. And it's just like just now I'm learning about like self-love and just like tapping into the spiritual side with myself, getting a little deeper from within. So I think I'm in that process, and it's just crazy to say because we've been in it for so long that it's just like up until now we're actually, you know, I want to say prioritizing us. You get me? So like, you know, I have plans of doing more of those videos. You know, everything that we said right now, if I were to be able to cut it into reels and just post for the entire month, they would just all be hits. Yeah. You know, so like that's what I want to get to, just putting more content out, exposing the brand a little bit more. I mean, the need is a reflection of me, obviously, but you know, it's stuff people need to hear. That's literally why I created it and put it in that way. You know.
Yeah. I love that you said priorities.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's something that people lack too is their priorities. Like my priorities are my core values in all my businesses. It's the same thing. Faith, family, fitness, finance, fun. In that order.
F's.
Right? Those are my 5 F's. I start with my faith.
Note that.
Faith, family, fitness, finance, fun.
They gotta write that one down.
People like man, it's crazy. My bad. People, it's crazy. Like they'll put their business before their family, and then they wonder why their family's struggling.
Yeah. Or doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense. Like, and I've made that mistake. So that's why like I've learned from it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We're not saying it because like we were just living by this the entire time.
Like, your family's your backbone. The faith, it starts with God, number one. Mm-hmm. Then your family's your backbone, right? And then I would say fitness, because your health, your vessel has to be strong and healthy so that you could continue carrying forward in your businesses and stuff like that, right?
And but for your family too.
Everything I do is in that order. Everything I do is in that order, because when you put all those first three in order, right? Your faith, your family, and your fitness, and your health, your business is just going to thrive.
Right.
And now you're not letting people dictate your schedule.
Yeah, because spiritually you're going to be good. At home it's going to be good. And then, of course, like, you're going to feel great about yourself. So really the rest of it is really a bystander, you know? Yeah. And I think, like, as of late, like, reading, you know, those self-development books and stuff, just becoming valuable and letting success be the bystander is just really something that hit me. And I think that's, you know, it just really summarizes everything we talked about today, just everything starting with you. Yeah. You know, so that's dope, man. A lot of gems on this one. Anything else you want to say as far as, like, your brand? Let's talk a little bit about, actually, before we end it here, about the Ambitious brand, because I know that was, like, really, like, something that you
I mean, honestly, it was more of like a passion project. You know, I went through a dark time when I got fired from all these corporate gyms, and it was like, you know what? Like, I'm ambitious, man. I was in my garage one night, and I was going through a lot of things in my personal life, just like anyone, right? And this song by Wale, shout out to Wale, Ambition, came on, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start a brand, Ambitious Fitness, and I posted it on, like, my Snapchat or something. I was like, man, I'm gonna start training people out of my garage and stuff like that, and yeah, just one thing led to another, you know. It was crazy, and yeah, that's where really Ambitious kind of started.
Nice, yeah. Are you still doing, like, online sales or anything like that?
Yeah, right now it's been on hold just because I'm focusing on other stuff, but we are designing a new launch here by the end of the year, and usually we do, like, one drop a year. It's nothing crazy, nice. But it's very simple designs. I'm in a collaborative space right now, so, like, this tee right now, the Fearless Leader tee, is more of, like, it's more of a message driven, like, everyone's a leader. And across it says fearless. It could come off very egotistical, but it's really, the message is fear just a little bit less. Fear a little bit less in anything that you do, and you're going to overcome it.
I like how you separated that.
Yeah.
I just caught it now because, you know, we're kind of just talking about fear less. Yeah. That's dope.
Fear a little bit less.
Yeah, fear a little bit less. That's clean. That's clean.
Yeah.
I'm going to have them still check out the brand. I'm sure you got an Instagram for it.
Yeah.
Just stay tuned on the drops for that. Yeah. And we actually want to have you do I call it the Needed Podcast Wall of Fame. So I want you to just write, you know, your autograph, and then something that you live by that you want the people to stick with. As you can see there and read, like, everybody's wrote something different. So just hit them with that real quick, and then we will wrap it up.
Okay, cool. I'm signing right now?
Right now.
Okay.
On the spot.
All right.
All right. What was it?
Stay ambitious.
Stay ambitious.
Always. No matter what happens in life, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Through darkness, your light's going to shine the brightest. So just understand that, you know, if you stay ambitious, stay true to yourself, you'll find that light. So that's something that I've always told myself.
Yeah, something to live by for sure. That's exactly what we wanted on that wall. If you guys stuck around to the end, thank you guys. You guys are I'm excited to see what you guys do after this one, you know, because the last 2 episodes have been super motivational. So many gems, you know, like I said, put the pen and paper, man, write these down, you know, prioritize, and, you know, you could add to the rest of that.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. It's been a true pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity, and I definitely look forward to what's to come.
Yeah, for sure, man. Good luck with everything. Keep doing your thing.
Thank you.
You know, let's see where we go from here. You know, we're both working on ourselves. Much love to you guys. Thank you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.